Hi guys, Ronald here back again for another video on the channel. And this one today then, a little bit of the transfer roundup from the last couple of days resolving Swansea City and their potential incomings, outgoings and players we are linked with. Unfortunately, in this video, it's not a great one. All the players we are linked with aren't probably going to come to us due to financial reasons. One player's definitely not going to come as they've already signed for another club instead of us, which totally understandable, which I'll give the reasons why. And then the last one is a potential player leaving, going back to his nation, which could happen because of South America and how big this country is. But if you do enjoy the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, make sure you share around my videos. Of course, back again for a lot of content, so a lot of people may not know I am back. I upload a lot on TikTok as well. If you want to follow me on TikTok, I think it's just like Reese SCFC and all my other social medias, which I'm not going to promote, but if you want to follow me, you can. But yeah, I don't really share the videos out, so the only way you can find out if I'm uploading is by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. So yeah, let's get into it. So the first one then, Kwame Poku was heavily linked to Swansea City over the last few days. Swansea City had a bid accepted by Peterborough United for the young Ghanaian winger from Peterborough, but unfortunately he has just signed for QPR in the last couple of hours. Really unfortunate, this one. It came out a few days ago that we agreed to deal with Peterborough, which surprised everybody. This kid's been linked with some of the biggest clubs in Britain. He was linked with Rangers. Obviously, we all know the history of Rangers up in Scotland, and you know, you've got a very good chance of winning some trophies and playing European football up in Scotland. And of course, Russell Mann's the manager now. He's also been heavily linked with a move to Birmingham City, who of course have just been promoted from League One, but obviously will be trying to get promotion again this season from the Championship, but with their investment and then brand new owners. So there's some very big clubs interested in him. 3 teams did agree a deal with QPR, which had got reported a few days ago. It was QPR who had a deal accepted, Swansea City had a bid accepted, and an unknown club which could be a European team, but the club was undisclosed for some sort of reason. But yeah, apparently QPR will be paying around about £900,000 plus add-ons. That's what I have seen online. Obviously it's not officially confirmed. It's a bit of a weird one though. Poku is out of contract at the end of June, so was free to leave Peterborough United for a free amount of money. Wouldn't have to cost anything. But the problem with this would have been, because he is at that age where he's come through at such a young age, if he went to a fellow English club or potential UK team, I'm not sure about the UK team, but definitely another English Football League club, so Swansea for example, because we play in the English football leagues, then we'd have to pay a compensation fee for Poku. Now, the problem with this is Brian Fry, who does all that sort of stuff for Peterborough, is a very hard man to negotiate with, especially in these tribunal cases. So if we were to sign Poku on a free, then it probably would cost us more money paying a tribunal and getting the compensation than actually paying a transfer fee. So QPR have agreed a fee. He has signed for QPR. Clever business. You haven't got to go all through the tribunal stage, court phases, just to get a fee like we do with Josh Key. But obviously that one is just not similar because it wasn't that much. But if he did sign for a team abroad, there would be no compensation package because he's not moving to a fellow team in the same league, which was the problem for Peterborough. Peterborough were very concerned that they weren't going to get any money for Poku at all, which would be a huge loss as he's such a very good player, one of the best in League One especially. So if he went for a club, for example, Frankfurt in Germany, they wouldn't have to give Peterborough a penny, wouldn't have to go to court. So it's a very good deal for Peterborough United anyway. Last season then, 12 goals, 8 assists in 27 League One games, which is a very good record. 20 goals and assists in 27 games at 23 years old is absolutely ridiculous. Main position is right wing, very good on that right hand side. Left-footed player, so he likes to cut inside a lot. Can also occupy in the number 10 role. He helped Peterborough win the EFL trophy in April as well. Obviously, a lot of people don't take that competition seriously, but obviously if you win it, it's a trophy at the end of the day. And they did beat Birmingham 2-0, played the full 90 minutes in that one. It would have been a very good signing, I got to admit. You know, when we were linked with it, I didn't think I seen one Swans fan say, oh, we're not sure about this. Everyone was like, get this done. What a player it would have been. It's a ridiculous signing for QPR. Now, it was between Swansea and QPR, mainly the unknown club. Obviously, we can't really disclose that. Can't really give my opinion because it's undisclosed. But at the end of the day, when you're from that sort of area, and apparently he's got links to London as well, are you going to sign for a team in London? Probably bigger wages. Are you going to go to Swansea where no one's near you, when you're going to be living with sheep across your home? It's London, isn't it? We just can't compete with that sort of thing, unfortunately. Obviously, if it's a player who's not played in England before, it could be a little bit different. But obviously, when you've got linked to London and you're linked with a London club, I think it's pretty obvious. So it's a bit unfortunate. Obviously, I think QPR had this deal in the reckoning a little bit longer than Swansea. I think Swansea were a late option for this deal. But yeah, it's a very, very good sign for QPR. I am very jealous. But the positive for me is we're looking at these type of players. We're getting deals accepted for these type of players. So I'm really, really excited about the potential of the rest of the transfer window. We've actually got football people in charge now instead of Andy Cole and Paul Watson, who, let's be honest, didn't really have a clue what they were doing. So it's nice to see us. Like I said, we've had a really good window so far. Obviously, I'd like to see a bit more fringe players move on a bit quickly. Don't really want to be seeing them in pre-season, but of course, this is a marathon, not a sprint. There's a long way to go. But yeah, Kwame Poku is signed for QPR. Let me know your thoughts, Swans fans, down below if you're a little bit annoyed like me about this one. The second bit of transfer news in is a player we had on loan last season, Lewis O'Brien. And where is his next move? Now, it's been heavily reported that Hull City are now the front runners and favourites to sign the man from Nottingham Forest. Of course, if Swansea were to do this deal, it would be a very, very big financial package in terms of the transfer fee. You'd assume it'd definitely be above 1.5 million, between that and 3.5 million, I assume. And of course, if he was to join Swansea, I'd put my money on him being the highest earner. So it's very, very remarkable how he did the deal in January in the first place on loan. Obviously, we needed a Grimes replacement as soon as possible. O'Brien knew the league. He's played in that position for Huddersfield before, for Forest. It was a no-brainer, and we've seen how good he was, and also can play in the number 10 role. But Hull City, as we know, since their new investment a few years ago from the Asgums, I can't remember the name of that terrible owner, so apologies for that. But he was terrible anyway. Literally wrote on their stadium that person's name out. They hated him. And obviously, since their new owner came in last season, got a little bit lucky. They could have gone down. But the season before that finished just outside the playoffs, and they got rid of Rosinha, which obviously proved out to be a terrible, terrible decision. But anyway, Hull City are now the front runners to sign Lewis O'Brien. They're in talks of a permanent and a loan move. Now, O'Brien's contract is up at the end of the season. If he was to go on loan, you'd assume he'd sign a one-year extension at Forest, so Forest can preserve his value and get some money. So you'd assume if a loan deal does happen, he'll sign a one-year deal at Forest. And if it's a permanent deal, you'd assume Forest will make at least half of their £5 million back. But yeah, the thing for Hull, which really puts them in the driving seat for this one, is Lewis O'Brien wants to move closer to home. Of course, I think his home's in West Yorkshire, probably Huddersfield, where he spent the main of his football career so far, and obviously just had a newborn child into his family as well, so congratulations to Lewis as well. So obviously when you have a newborn child, not like I know myself, but from what I've heard, obviously you want to spend a lot of time with the kid, and it can be quite troubling at times for the wife, the parent, the guardian. If, you know, as a footballer, you're out the house 24 hours of the day. A lot of time is out the house training and doing all sorts of media things. So it must be very hard for Lewis O'Brien's partner to deal with that by herself. Obviously, she'll have help, but obviously Lewis O'Brien wants to be there for his child, so it's pretty simple. Football is much bigger than football. You've got to think of the family and other scenarios. Obviously, Swansea City are still in the race for O'Brien, but we're definitely not front runners for this one, guys, unfortunately. Now, there's also other teams interested in O'Brien. Birmingham, Southampton have also flirted with the possibility of signing O'Brien, and they're definitely there, but they are focusing on other targets at this stage. Now, it had been reported that Hull have had a £5 million bid in for O'Brien, but I had a little look online. Total rubbish. Alan Nixon is one of the worst journalists about. He used to be very reliable, but these days he's all about the clicks, and it's a shame how the world's going in terms of journalists with that one. But yeah, look, Birmingham, Southampton, Hull, all the favourites to sign him, essentially. All up there, all got the money. Swansea, can't even see it past my camera. We're that low to sign him, but never say never. We all enjoyed O'Brien. He was terrific. He'd really liked his time here. Really helped us stabilise and stay in the Championship, and had a really decent finish in the end of the season. But with Weidel coming in, obviously we still need another midfielder in that sort of department, and O'Brien would be superb. But like I said, regardless of the new money coming into the club, it's still a heck of a lot of money to put on a player. And the last one then, Ronald. Don't really talk about him too much on this channel. He's been heavily linked with a move away back to Brazil. Now, Ronald is a player who can frustrate a lot. Personally, for me, I really like Ronald. I think he buys a lot of free kicks. If you're 2-1 up last 10 minutes, give it to Ronald. He'll probably lose the ball, but he may win a free kick. His fitness levels are very, very good. We'll talk about it in a minute, how many games he played last season for us. But I generally think, in terms of reliability, Ronald's one of our top reliable players in terms of doesn't really get injured, always available for selection, can be good off the bench, can be good from starts, always causes the problems for the lower end teams in terms of their fullbacks, and even some of the higher end teams, like at Sheffield United. We won 9 fouls that day, 9 fouls. Absolutely incredible. Now, according to Brazilian outlet UOL Esporte, I had to put a bit of emphasis on the sport, I don't know why. Corinthians are interested in the player. Now, Corinthians are apparently only interested in a loan to buy, no obligation to buy, just an option to buy, and that's something Swansea City are definitely not going to be doing. If Ronald is to leave Swansea this summer, it'll be a loan with an obligation to buy or just a straight out purchase of a transfer fee. There'll be no loans with an option. Swansea don't want that to happen. If he was a bit more of a fringe player potentially, but Ronald is still ahead of Swansea, a reliable player and an important player for us in the future. Now, Ronald apparently isn't too interested with the move. He did put on a story the other day, a picture of a Swan shirt with a Swans emoji and a heart. So obviously this news has reached Ronald about him potentially leaving. So I think he is very happy with Swansea, and obviously his friendship with Carlo Franco is absolutely brilliant to see. Those two match made in heaven. They are fantastic to watch on Instagram, partying and stuff like that. Those two are very, very thing. And I'm not saying Ronald's going to stay because of Franco, Franco's going to stay because of Ronald. But obviously when you've got a partnership like that at a club, you do feel guilty if you are going to leave, especially if it's not for a permanent move anyway. Now, there's some other teams interested in him. Apparently a few clubs from Saudi Arabia are also interested in Ronald. Not too sure about the reliability of that one, but I'll tell you now, if the Saudi Arabia clubs comes in for Ronald, get on that plane, Ronald, we'll see you later. Especially with the money Saudi clubs have, absolutely incredible. And also a Mexican side, Club America, are also looking at the possibility of Ronald. So a lot of these South American teams, and of course Saudi, are also looking at Ronald. Now, one of the main reasons is reliability. 46 games last season in Championship, played in every single match, either coming off the bench or starting. Remarkable. Not many players do that, especially for a winger who tends to pick up a lot of hamstring injuries running up and down that line all the time, or, you know, getting a knock now and again because of the amount of kicks you get. And like I said, against Sheffield United, won 9 bloody fouls and still played that game. So, look, people can say what they want about Ronald, but one thing you can't criticise the boy is his injury record has been phenomenal. Don't think he's been injured less than once. Or maybe he's been injured once, if you want to correct me. But, like I said, his reliability is remarkable. Not many players play 46 games out of 46. I know he didn't play the whole 90 minutes like Matt Grimes would, but still, remarkable. We signed him for a 7-figure fee between £1 to £2 million. So, if Swansea City were to sell Ronald this summer, you'd like to think we'd at least double our money, so we should be making a bit of profit on Ronald if he was to go. And he does have a contract until 2027 with an option of a further year. So in terms of contracted situation, we're in a very, very strong position with Ronald. If he was to force a move away, you'd like to think Swansea will make their money back at least. But yeah, Ronald, can't see him going this summer, but of course it is interesting, and I've got to talk about every single link being away, especially when there are half-decent journalists talking about it as well. So let me know down below, guys, if there was a fee for Ronald, would you accept it? Let me know your thoughts on Ronald as well. He's a bit of a tricky situation with Ronald. He does divide opinion. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on Kwame Poku going to Queen's Park Rangers. Lewis O'Brien, where do you think he'll end up this summer? 95% sure he will leave Nottingham Forest at some stage this summer transfer window. And let me know your thoughts on Ronald as well. Will you be disappointed if Ronald leaves? Would you like him to stay? What do you think of Ronald overall? Overall, he's a decent Championship player. Not Premier League ready, is he? Maybe in the future, still quite young. But I think he's very good, Ronald, anyway. He does provide a lot of options, especially off both flanks. But anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thanks very much for watching again, guys. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video and subscribe, and follow my TikTok and all good stuff like that. But anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you all later for another video of Swansea City Transfer Roundup.
I need one more chance. Oh, baby, let me show you. I need one more chance. Oh.